fear, pain, hope, and a story of a new sunrise. After the terrifying past of Panem, a new era has begun. But sunrise on the reaping reminds us of a painful truth. Darkness never truly ends. It only returns in a different form. Today, we explore Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, a book that doesn't just carry the legacy of the Hunger Games. It sparks a brand new chapter, one where new rebellion is born from the ashes of old pain. Reaping Day has returned, once a symbol of fear and mourning in Panem. This day still haunts the people, even though President Snow is dead and the capital lies in ruins. Now a new government has taken charge, claiming peace and freedom. And yet, echoes of the past refuse to fade. Here, we meet Saren, a young girl from District 4, a daughter of a fisherman, but also the child of a former rebel. She's quiet, thoughtful, yet a silent storm brews inside her. Old sins don't just disappear, do they? This year, Reaping Day brings an announcement. There will be no more games, but freedom came at a cost. The people wonder, is this peace real, or is it just another illusion? Saren lives a simple life with her family and old friends. But just like sharks hide in deep waters, dark secrets hide beneath the surface of this new society. One night, she overhears a message whispered through the shadows. A former Capitol officer now holds power in the new government. Did the rebellion truly win? Or did the players merely change? Saren's doubts deepen. Her father once belonged to a secret organization, the Silent Ember, a hidden network that believes true freedom has yet to arrive. Saren discovers old journals, maps, and coded letters left by her father. One phrase stands out: sunrise is coming. She realizes the new government is secretly watching District 4. Why? Because this is where a new project is beginning. Not the Hunger Games, but something worse. The Trial, a more advanced, psychological version of the games. Branded as justice, but designed to control. Saren decides she will not stay silent. She will fight. Saren risks everything to visit an old bunker her father once used. There she meets Kale, a former Capitol hacker turned rebel. Noma, a strategist and leader within the Silent Ember. Lior, Saren's childhood friend, now a hardened fighter. They reveal the Trial is not just a new name. It's a psychological weapon to manipulate youth and create division among districts. The system has changed, but the oppression remains. Saren must now make the biggest choice of her life: to enter the Trial, not as a victim, but as a secret rebel. Just before dawn, the village is silent. Nature itself seems to hold its breath. Katniss Everdeen's heart pounds in her chest. She knows this day is not just another selection. It's a test of everything she believes. Her name is called as a tribute from District 12. Gasps fill the air. Some faces show sorrow, others pride, but inside, Katniss is breaking. She remembers her sister Prim and the promise she once made, to protect her at all costs. Now, she must become the shield again, even if it means facing death. Katniss steels herself. She knows she has one weapon: her mind and her unbreakable will. As Katniss prepares for what lies ahead, Haymitch Abernathy steps in once more as her mentor. A former victor from District 12, Haymitch is more than a drunken shell of his past. He's a survivor of unimaginable horrors, and he knows the games aren't just about brute strength. Your weapon isn't just your bow, he says. It's your mind, your instincts. That's your real power. He teaches Katniss that the arena is psychological, reading opponents, sensing shifts in danger, camouflaging emotion, and staying sharp when everyone else falls apart. Katniss begins to learn how to quiet the fear rising in her chest, to transform that fear into focused silence. This chapter isn't just about learning to survive. It's about learning to endure. The journey to the Capitol begins on a high-speed train. Through the windows, lights blur past, towering cities, lavish landscapes, artificial wonder. Katniss, Peeta, and Haymitch share a compartment, but the emotional distance between them is miles long. Peeta tries to reassure her, tries to believe that whatever game they play, their bond can survive. But Katniss knows the Capitol doesn't see love. It sees entertainment, and every move they make is under a microscope. Outside, the world glitters. Inside, Katniss is lost in fog. This isn't just a train ride. It's the slow descent into a grand stage, where every breath could be your last, and every word could be your weapon. The moment Katniss steps into the Capitol, it feels like a fantasy carved from neon and luxury. She and the other tributes are paraded like prizes, adorned in extravagant costumes, march before crowds cheering like it's a holiday, not a horror. But Katniss's costume stands out, flames woven into fabric. She becomes the girl on fire once again. And this time, the fire isn't just for show. It's rebellion clothed in beauty. It's a silent message. You can dress me up, but I won't be your puppet. The Capitol may see a performance, but Katniss knows it's a declaration of war. The games begin, not with explosions, but with silence. A deadly calm that coils like a snake in the grass. Tributes stalk one another like predators. Every move is calculated. Every breath counts. Katniss learns quickly. She cannot rely on muscle alone. She must listen, watch, understand how fear shapes people. She's not just surviving. She's evolving. In silence, she sharpens her greatest weapon, her mind. This isn't just a game anymore. It's an intellectual battlefield. Before loneliness consumes her, Katniss finds unexpected allies. Others, like her, aren't here to play the Capitol's game. They're trying to survive its nightmare. Together, they form a fragile alliance, built not just on strategy, but on shared humanity. Among them is Finnick Odair, a warrior with a wry smile and iron will. He becomes a beacon of hope, cloaked in charm, but forged by pain. Their bond is temporary, yet powerful. A quiet promise in a place where promises often mean nothing. This isn't a friendship. It's a lifeline. Together, they fight. Together, they survive. And for the first time, Katniss feels something deeper than fear. She feels purpose. As the games drag on, Katniss is forced to confront a terrifying truth. Survival isn't just physical. It's mental, it's spiritual, and it demands a price. She begins to realize that the real purpose of these games isn't just to crown a victor. It's to break the human soul, to force people to betray their own morality in order to live. Tributes aren't just opponents. They're survivors clawing through an arena where humanity is a weakness and cruelty is rewarded. What do I have to become to stay alive? Katniss asks herself. An inner war begins between her need to survive and her desire to remain human. Every step she takes, every decision, becomes a mirror into her soul. And in that mirror, she sees the painful reflection of what the Capitol wants. A killer. But Katniss resists. She fights not only for her life, but for her conscience. In the midst of violence and fear, a rare light breaks through. Friendship. Katniss and Peeta Mellark grow closer, not out of strategy, but through shared pain, trust, and hope. Peeta becomes her emotional anchor, a safe place where she can lay down her weapons, her fears, and just be. Their bond is fragile, but real. A reminder that even in a place built on death, love and loyalty can survive. In a world that strips people down to animals, they choose to hold on to humanity. Together, they become each other's strength. And that connection becomes more powerful than any weapon in the arena. The arena becomes a mind game. This chapter isn't about who's the strongest. It's about who can outthink the rest, who can hide in plain sight, who can control their emotions. Katniss evolves. She learns the art of deception, how to become a shadow, a whisper, when to retreat, when to strike. She studies her enemies. What makes them panic? What makes them reckless? Victory is no longer a test of strength. It's a chess match played in real time, where one wrong move means death. Katniss rises above as a tactician, no longer just a fighter, but a strategist. One whose weapon is not just a bow, but brilliance under pressure. As the horrors intensify, the weight of the games threatens to crush Katniss's spirit. She begins to sink into despair. feeling trapped in a pit of darkness so deep that even hope seems like a cruel illusion. Night after night, she questions everything. Why is she still alive? What is she fighting for? But even in the bleakest moments, a flicker of light remains. The memory of her sister Prim, the sound of her mother's voice, the thought of a future without bloodshed. That tiny flame of love becomes her fuel. It pushes her forward. Even in the darkest cave of her mind, she refuses to let go of the light. As the games reach their final phase, Katniss transforms. The fear that once paralyzed her is now gone. In its place, resolve. She doesn't just want to survive. She wants to win on her own terms. With integrity, with courage, with honor. Every move she makes is sharp, deliberate, powerful. I will not die here. Not like this. I will write my own ending. This chapter is Katniss at her peak. Not just a player in the Capitol's twisted game, but a warrior with purpose. She is no longer surviving. She is claiming her fate. And with every heartbeat, she sends a message to the Capitol. You can bend me, but you will never break me. At this stage in the games, Katniss realizes bravery alone is not enough. Muscle without mind is a quick path to death. She begins crafting strategies, analyzing every move, every sound, every shadow. Katniss isn't just reacting anymore. She's planning, calculating, leading the game instead of following it. She studies her enemies, identifies their weaknesses, and turns their strengths into traps. Patience becomes her weapon, timing her armor, silence her ally. Each decision is a step in a carefully choreographed dance of survival. As she sharpens her tactics, Katniss grows more confident, more in control. And with every move, she turns confusion into opportunity, pushing her rivals off balance and reclaiming power in a world built to strip her of it. As the games become more dangerous, the bond between Katniss and Peeta deepens. Their friendship is no longer just a tool for survival. It becomes a lifeline. When death lurks around every corner, they find safety in each other. Peeta becomes more than a teammate. He becomes her home in a world without refuge. Together, they face danger. They plan. They protect. They lift each other when fear threatens to pull them down. This chapter shows that in a world of isolation and betrayal, true friendship can still be a force stronger than fear. It's not the weapons or the traps that keep them alive. It's trust. And in trusting each other, they remind us all what it means to be human. The games now descend into chaos. Deadly enemies, natural disasters, psychological strain. Katniss faces danger from every direction, but she adapts. She observes. She calculates. Sometimes she strikes with fearless precision. Other times, she waits like a predator in silence. Each challenge tests her stamina, reflexes, and willpower. Her strength isn't just in her body. It's in her mind, her ability to stay calm when death is a breath away. She becomes a force the arena cannot break. Every close call is a lesson. Every setback, a sharpening of her instinct. This chapter is a showcase of survival. Not by luck, but through pure grit, intelligence, and relentless courage. In this chapter, despair nearly consumes Katniss. The weight of the games, the loss of allies, and the constant mental pressure crush her spirit. She begins to doubt, not just her ability to win, but the very reason she should keep going. But in the heart of that darkness, something rises. A memory, a voice, her family. I'm not fighting for me. I'm fighting for them. That single thought reignites her flame. Even broken, she finds the strength to rebuild herself. And with that newfound determination, she rises once more. Stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. Now it all comes down to this. The final stretch. The last arena. The ultimate test. Katniss brings together everything she's learned. Every moment of fear, every whisper of hope, every scar she's earned. She doesn't just fight. She leads the end of the games like a warrior writing her own legend. Her plans are daring. Her attacks precise. Her courage unwavering. The arena roars with chaos. But Katniss moves like thunder wrapped in shadow. She doesn't just survive, the final confrontation. She conquers it, and when the dust settles, she stands not just as a victor, but as a symbol of something far greater. A girl who refused to be broken. A girl who turned survival into rebellion. A girl who claimed her story and rewrote the rules. The echoes of war rise, not in roars, but in silence. The rebels have taken shelter in a secret capital bunker, but peace is a lie. Death moves in shadows. Invisible weapons lurk in the air. Katniss is now torn, a symbol to millions, but inside, still just a girl filled with fear, hope, and vengeance. This chapter exposes the bloody truth of rebellion. That in war, the enemy isn't the only one you lose. You lose your people, your dreams, your innocence. Even with strategy and discipline, the cost becomes clear. The revolution affects not just rulers, but the lives of ordinary people, the silent majority trapped in a battle they never chose. The Capitol lays one final trap, a building disguised as a health clinic, but inside, poison gas, drones, and brutal death machines. As they infiltrate, Peeta suddenly turns, his mind twisted by capital manipulation. He nearly kills Katniss. The fear is real. Can you trust someone who once tried to kill you? Can love survive when the mind is no longer your own? Trust fractures. The team trembles under paranoia. Every breath becomes a battle. The enemy isn't just out there anymore. It's within. Finnick Odair is killed. His laughter, his courage, his light, all extinguished in a heartbeat. But his death is not meaningless. It becomes a mirror of sacrifice, a cry that echoes into Katniss's soul. Snow, coin, I will make you pay. Katniss no longer fights to survive. She fights to avenge. Her mission is no longer to live, but to ensure those responsible don't. The rebels push into the heart of the capital, but the city doesn't fall in open combat. It falls through cruelty. Capital children gather for food, and bombs fall from the sky in a twisted feedfall. In the carnage, Prim dies, a healer, a symbol of hope, snatched away by the very war meant to protect her. Katniss's world shatters. The symbol of rebellion is now a woman drowning in loss. She doesn't just lose a sister. She loses the purpose of the fight. The war is over. President Snow is captured. Victory belongs to the rebels. But a dark question arises. What now? Some propose putting Snow in a new Hunger Games, a final act of revenge. But Katniss sees it for what it is, a cycle repeating, a game with new rules, but the same blood. In a shocking twist, Katniss raises her bow, and instead of killing Snow, she shoots President Coin. Because true monsters don't always wear crowns. Sometimes they wear the flag of freedom. Katniss is imprisoned, branded insane by some, a revolutionary by others. But her story isn't over. The Capitol has fallen. President Snow is dead. Coin is gone, but peace still feels distant. Alma Coin's regime had begun to mirror the tyranny it claimed to overthrow. Behind her calls for peace were hunger for control and lust for power. Katniss, broken by Prim's death, realizes the truth. It was Coin who ordered the bombs that killed her sister, not Snow. Your sister was collateral, Snow had whispered, but not by my hand. Katniss sees the illusion break. There are no heroes in power, just different masks on the same face. This chapter asks, is war ever just, or does it always come with blindness on both sides? In a symbolic moment, Katniss is told, you will execute President Snow. You will be the blade of justice. But as she stands before Snow, memories flash. Prim, Peeta, Finnick, the children. I want no more innocent blood. At the last second, she turns her bow, not at Snow, but at President Coin. The crowd falls silent. The symbol of rebellion has now turned on its own leader. Katniss is seized, called mad, called murderer. But the real Hunger Games, the power struggle, has ended. Snow chokes on his own blood. Whether from laughter or poetic justice, no one knows. Weeks pass. Katniss is released, not because she's forgiven, but because the world has no appetite left for more killing. She returns to District 12, a home reduced to ash and memory. But there, Peeta finds her, still in love, still haunted. Together, they plant seeds and burn soil. From grief, they grow a garden. From silence, they build peace. In time, they have a child, not trained for war, but raised to sing songs of hope. When she asks me about the past, Katniss says, I will tell her everything, so she'll know never to repeat it. This isn't a story of victory. It's a story of healing, of learning to live after war, of planting hope where once there was only fire. If you want to experience all the excitement and mystery this book has to offer, I've left a link for you in the description box below. Click it to read the complete story for yourself.